everybody, and welcome to episode 140 of the Rich Cheese Radio Podcast, your home for horological hot takes, taboo topics, and often unpopular watch opinions. I'm your host, Brodinky. With me is my good friend, the one and only Mr. Schmidt. Schmitty, welcome back. How are you, my friend?
It's been way too long, but been very good. Just really slammed with work. Super busy, but glad that we had some free time, both your and my schedule, to actually sit down and record another episode. 140.
That's right. Crazy. So this will be 140 some odd. Well, sometimes it runs over, but some odd hours that we've been together with our audience here. So that's something. Man. That's like a relationship. That's like at least a high school relationship, right? Like
it, quite tumultuous one.
Going
on and
steady,
off, you know, going steady. But here we are, on and off. Doing our thing.
But yeah, no, I definitely feel you on the busy thing. I think I don't know what it is. I think everybody just feels busy these days. I don't know if it's the cell phones or the constant connectivity or whatever, but just try to put your head to rest sometimes. Like
it's impossible. It's impossible. Like, I mean, there's times where I'm trying to fall asleep and like do my due diligence, and I'm like, oh, dude, I didn't fold my laundry. I got to pack my bag for work tomorrow. I got to take my kids to the doctor. Like, there's just so many things that just start running in your mind. And I'm like, man, there's just not enough hours in the day. Like, there's just not. I don't know what to do, Yeah. The existential crisis of a parent.
Yeah, I feel like that's where we're going to go with the AI. We're all going to get our own like Jarvis, where he'll just be like, hey, by the way, you didn't fold your clothes. Oh, yeah, thanks, buddy.
I mean, but there still has to be the act of doing it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's.
I don't know if you've done.
Would be nice if it could be done for you.
It takes forever to do this stuff. I'm like, oh man.
He'll be like, hey, don't buy that watch. It's too expensive. Mind your business, buddy.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I definitely feel you on that. Just, I don't know. I guess the word is like fatigue, man. That's like a trendy word now on the interweb is the fatigue. But just fatigue overall. It feels like it's been a year. We were talking before the show. It's been a hell of a 6 months. I don't know if it's just whatever political stuff or just craziness, tariffs, this, that, the other thing, whatever. I'm just tired, like all the time.
Yeah. I am very, very much with you on that. It is exhausting, both physically and mentally. And here we are, two busy dads trying to make it work in the world of podcasting.
Make it work. That's it. That's it. But yeah, other than that, things are good. Had a couple birthdays recently. Oldest guy's a year older now, so that's cool.
Fantastic.
Everybody's doing the moving up ceremony, graduation, whatever it is, whatever you want to call it, going from grade to grade stuff. So we're busy in our household over here, but all for the better, I think. I like to think so, at least.
Yeah.
All right. Today we've got a lot of new watches to talk about because it's been a hot minute. So we got plenty to discuss.
A few months is a hot minute.
Well, yeah, between I dropped that episode with the other guys, but yeah, it's been a while since you and I were able to get on the same page here. But yeah, we've got some new stuff. I know you're probably very excited. We've seen Return of the Railmaster.
Yes, very excited about that, actually.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it on the show. It's a very underrated watch to begin with, but when you bring something back, you don't just bring it back. You always bring it back shiny and new, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So I know I briefly looked it over, but what have they?
So here's the thing. This watch collection in the Omega catalog has always been kind of a lukewarm one, and I will objectively admit that. The Railmaster has never been the page turner, the head turner that people have expected it to be. In my opinion, it's a perfect, just go anywhere, do anything watch. If you want to call it a field watch, cool, you can. I think it fits that bill. But, obviously this was a watch designed for anti-magnetism in the 1950s, came out in 1957. Really cool piece, just very different. And I think part of the name is one of the reasons why it's never done the greatest, because it's a watch designed for railroad conductors and engineers, which, there's a ton of those people laying around, but also, scientists, medical professional, things like that. But nobody ever really thinks about it that way. They just think of it as a timepiece for trains. Okay. The watch came out, 2 references. One is a center seconds version. One is a small seconds version. both of which look, in my opinion, amazing. I just think that people were expecting it to either be more fancy or less fancy. And this timepiece, in my opinion, is kind of right in between. And people are really split on it. And I don't understand the criticisms because everyone's like, oh my God, how lazy of this. Omega just decided to relaunch the Railmaster and they did it in an Aquaterra case. I'm like, hold on. You guys realize the last 3 generations of the Railmaster have been in Aquaterra
Yeah,
cases,
I
right?
was
Like,
gonna say that's not a new thing.
this is not a new thing at all, but this is the criticism on the internet. And I'm like, guys, where have you been?
Well, that just tells
Okay.
you that tells you how long ago they got on the boat. Probably that, or they really are just
But
head up the old arse.
that's my thing is like, you're listening to, like, I know Britt Pierce came out about this and she was like, hey, it's kind of lazy that they did the Railmaster to Aquaterra case. I'm like, Britt, like, what are you talking about? The last generation was an Aquaterra. The one that everyone's going back in the back catalog and looking at now, the Aquaterra or the Railmaster from the mid 2000s, the one my brother owns, that Railmaster was also in an Aquaterra. The only one that hasn't been an Aquaterra was the original Railmaster because the Aquaterra didn't exist.
Yep.
So I'm like, guys, what do you want? But then people are like, oh, well, it's got brushed center link or polished center links. I'm like, okay. Oh, they should have brushed it. You know what? Then take it to a jeweler and have them brush it. I don't know what you guys want. I think the watch looks awesome. I think the color codes for those timepieces are great. The gray to black Fume looks fantastic in the center seconds. It's also a less expensive timepiece out of everything else in the Omega catalog.
I was gonna say in the range of watch prices today, being able to get one of these for 5,400 is really, really kind of nice.
I mean, it's a little bit more. It's 58, but I mean,
Well, the one I'm looking at is gray on leather is 54.
Oh, yeah. The fact that you can get it on a leather strap at 54, 58 on the steel bracelet, it's the least expensive Omega sports watch in the catalog. If you want anything less expensive than that, then you need to go to like a dress watch, like a DeVille.
Yeah.
Okay. 150-meter water resistant, screw down crown, nice styling, 38 millimeter, which all you small wristed guys have been championing for years. You get it, and all of a sudden now, oh well, it's
yeah, it's a little small.
it's a little small and it's in an Aquaterra. That was kind of lazy. And I'm thinking to myself, like, guys, what do you want? The small seconds, tobacco dial. This every time I look at that watch, I just think of like Cuba or Havana, like rolling cigars.
Rolling a cigar.
I don't know why.
Cohiba.
That's what I think about. I think of like a Guayabera with that watch on, smoking a cigar with a pour of whiskey. Like that just to me is classy and looks amazing. And this is people are complaining about it. I'm like, they're like, I thought we were done with Fotina. I'm like, that's why you have the other one that's not Fotina. Oh yeah, but I don't like the black one. I'm like, okay,
What
I don't know.
do you like?
Nobody knows. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. Everyone's confused. But like, what's the cost of an Explorer these days?
Well,
Like an
I mean,
Explorer One.
I forget Explorer One. I mean, if you want a C12 Loco, it's $5,000.
Yeah, that's crazy. But I mean, for obvious reasons, I like that. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
a good
but
looking
I mean,
timepiece.
if you're gonna put them one up against another, I mean, that's not even a contest.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah,
what I
I'm
mean?
just-
But 5,000, I mean, it gets you plenty, but it also at the same time doesn't get you much, if that makes sense.
That's my thing, man. I'm like, all things being equal, like, does Rolex even have a current model Explorer right now?
Yes, they've don't they have a 40?
I know they had a 36, but I'm not seeing it on the website unless I'm tripping.
Isn't the 40 the current version?
I thought it was
Or
36.
the most current version? Didn't they drop a 40 millimeter? And everybody wet their pants over after going up to 39.
Okay, hold on. Maybe I just have to click Explorer, which encompasses Explorer 1 and Explorer 2. Configure. Okay. Explorer 2. I want an Explorer.
So the 40 millimeter is 7.9.
Okay. 36 millimeter, which this would be closest in size to, would be 7,500, which both models are less expensive than on bracelet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I'd rather have an Explorer 1. I'm like, oh, cool. The watch that didn't actually explore anything. Cool. Got it.
Yeah, but people, that's what they do. That's what the internet is here for. It's
I know.
It's a giant comment section at this point.
Look, I love the watch. I think it's a great piece. If you're out there and you're listening to this and you have an open mind and you want your first luxury steel sports watch that is still relatively attainable in the year of our Lord 2025, then go buy this watch. Go buy the Center Seconds Great Black Fume on a bracelet at $5,800 and have an incredible in-house movement, anti-magnetic technology, exhibition case back, all the bee's knees that you could ever want in a watch, and never have to worry about another watch for the rest of your life. This is the watch to get, and get it now. Get it now. I mean, they're only going to get more expensive. This is the least expensive sports watch out there that I would feel comfortable recommending to anybody, and the size is great at 38 millimeters. So it was funny too. I was up there like, oh, they should have made it in 41. I'm like, oh my God. Like, can we stop? Can we just stop?
What is this, 2018?
I know. And we're reverting back again. Everyone's
Well,
like,
that's how it goes, you know.
everyone's like,
Gold
oh,
was out
I
for
kind
a
of
long
want, I kind of wish it
time.
was in 45 millimeters. I'm like, what?
Then gold comes back. You know how it goes. It's
Yeah,
always
I know.
it's always what we don't have currently is what we want.
Correct. But overall, I think it's a great watch. I mean, what about you, bro? What did you
Well,
think?
I personally, I think probably my favorite attribute is it being a whopping 12.4 millimeters, which for what's packed into it is quite nice.
Yeah. I mean, it's no different than my Aquaterra shades, to be honest with you. Same case, same bracelet. The only difference is the finishing on the case because the shades collection is all high polish.
Right.
This one they went back to brushed and high polish finish, but it's so comfortable. I wear my red Aquaterra all the time, and it's just so thin, so comfortable. The bracelet's amazing. I just think it's a great watch. And now that this is more of a utilitarian version of that, if you want a less frills watch, then get this one. And I actually prefer it on the leather strap. I know that that's kind of ludicrous for most people, but in my own personal collection, like, do I need the same watch on the same bracelet in two different colorways? No, but I could do, one strap, one bracelet, and switch them back and forth. I think that would be cool. So I think it pops on the strap.
I'll be honest with you. I've kind of moved away from team bracelet recently. I don't have much on bracelet anymore. I don't know. I don't find them to be that. I don't find them to be that comfy overall. I mean, it's a nicer look. It's showy, but I don't really, not a fan.
I think if you're going for your first ever piece, and this is this is your first foray into luxury pieces, and yeah, maybe you opt for the bracelet model. But I'm at that point now where how many watches can I really have on bracelet before they all start to occupy the same type of practicality within my collection?
Also true.
So there you go. There's my rant about the Railmaster. Love it. Don't hate it. Try it out. It's a great watch, great price point. Go buy it.
And I guess while we're there, we were also talking about this before. Interesting, I guess you'd call it marketing ploy we've seen recently in that we've got a new James Bond video game.
Yes.
And in it, you see him, I'm assuming it's a cutscene of some sort, and he's kind of perusing the watch box and he pulls out what is an unknown sorts, Omega.
Yeah.
Which was kind of neat. And that was a Planet Ocean chrono?
Diver 300 meter chrono.
Oh, Diver 300 meter chrono, even better.
So
nice.
it's a watch that's never been officially in James Bond canon in any configuration outside of the time and date or no date version. But this is a Diver chrono 300 meter. It's based off of a current catalog piece, right? The 9900 caliber versions are in the stores now. It's on the website. And it's on a strap with a dial configuration, handset configuration that does not currently exist in the catalog right now. So it's based off a current model, but the actual watch itself doesn't physically exist as a reference or an SKU, at least that I can find. But it had the internet spinning with speculation. And a lot of things are happening, Bond related. We had earlier in the year the acquisition of MGM Studios and Eon Productions by Amazon. They've been teasing kind of, some Bond related stuff. More things have been popping out in the Bond subculture. Omega, launched a new brand ambassador for the organization, Aaron Taylor Johnson, which kind of seemed like it came out of left field. But ATJ's name has been thrown around a lot as somebody that could be a very high potential for the Bond character to be the next actor to play the role, which I will tell you this, having followed Omega as long as I have, the last male brand ambassador that I can remember them physically announcing was Eddie Redmayne, like in 2017.
Oh yeah.
So this is not like a common thing for the brand to do. Most of the time, they have people that join their friend list or what they call friends of the brand. So like they'll be contractually obligated to wear stuff for a certain period of time, but they're not a global ambassador. They just kind of represent the brand for 6 months or a year or something like that. But to do a brand ambassador is kind of a big deal because that's like George Clooney status, that's Daniel Craig status, like Michael Phelps. Like these are brand
Right. Right.
ambassadors. You know what I mean? Like they're not just nobody. So the fact that Aaron Taylor Johnson just like came out of nowhere and is like now a global brand ambassador was like very weird and odd. And so everyone in the Bond community is like reeling. And then we get this trailer for the video game that dropped last week with this watch, and everyone's like now freaking out again. So hopefully this year we'll get some more Bond announcement stuff, and hopefully we have maybe the announcement of the new character. I think that's kind of what everyone's waiting for, and that should be pretty exciting. But from what I know from my buddy Lorenzo, you know him as well.
Yeah.
Things that happen in the Bond community typically happen like in Q3, Q4 of every like year they're going to do an announcement because most of the Bond stuff comes out like October, November when the movies were announced or movies were
Oh, that's
launched.
interesting.
Yeah, so that's kind of the what most people in the Bond community speculate in terms of timeline for announcements or movie releases is typically in that time period of the year. So if we do get anything, it may not be until much later than what we're expecting right now. And they're just kind of like leaving us little breadcrumbs of speculation up until that point. But it's cool, man. I was kind of pumped. The resolution of the video game looks really nice. It looks kind of a nice, true to form return to Bond's classic ethos of being a secret agent, traveling all over the world, diving, all kinds of cool stuff. And the fact that he's got a watch that's never been used before as a Bond watch in the catalog with obviously Omega's specific iconography. Because that's the other thing, too, I talked with Lorenzo about. Like, this says Omega. Like, this is an actual watch. If you look at the dial, it says Omega Master Chronometer. Like, all the stuff is consistent with an actual timepiece, which has never happened before in the Bond franchise. If you think back to GoldenEye, we had the semblance of the 300 meter when you did the cutscene or you hit pause on
Yeah.
the game, right? You had the kind of illusion of the watch, but it wasn't actually an Omega. It just kind of looked very similar to it. This is an actual timepiece, like with the branding of the company, which is interesting. And I only could find one other time where this had happened before. And I believe it was either Far Cry 4 or Far Cry 5, where Hamilton was
Oh,
featured
yep.
as an unlockable in the video game. So I'm assuming that maybe that was a test from Swatch Group itself to see if that was viable in a game. And maybe this laid the precedent for something that's a bigger brand with more reach like Omega to do it. And this would make sense.
Yeah, pretty neat overall. I think just about everybody's run out of marketing ideas these days. There's again, I don't know if that's the fatigue setting in or what I was talking about, but it's just like, but I will give you credit. I mean, I think I often try to tie things back to things that we speak about on here and topics that come up and stuff. The basically the marketing strategy is 100% just influencer nonsense nowadays, which is something you alluded to
100%.
was going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's disappointing because you ruined two things there. You ruin the fun that is the marketing by the brands, and you ruin the sort of spontaneity that used to be kind of the influencer culture, right? Which was
Mm-hmm.
fun because you kind of got to do it was things that were unexpected. It was content you
Right.
didn't
Right.
coming, things like that. Now you look and it's just it's a giant ad. It's not exciting. It's not fun. It's got me at least feeling very jaded. I know a lot of people I speak to feel the same way. It's just like this is where we landed after all of this building, blah blah blah, watch fam, blah blah blah, community, this that the other thing. At the end of the day, we're just trying to move stuff and advertise for whether it be vintage sellers or the hyping up X, Y, and Z brands and
Yeah.
that nobody
Yeah.
really wanted 2 years ago.
Yeah. Cartier.
Like, man, this is boring.
Yeah. It's just gotten overstimulation.
Really, like, yeah, it's very I don't know what you call it. Very demoralizing.
Yeah.
Is what I'm looking for.
Well, it's a analysis paralysis, it's content overload. And as we kind of alluded to earlier, it's like you have so many things in life that are going on, whether, mentally or spiritually or professionally or whatever it is, physically. And it just seems like many more things are just being thrown into the void and just like go. Like
No,
I
that's
don't
what it
have,
is. There's no direction to it. It's just being
correct.
cast out there. And I think it was funny. I remember the first time I heard the term content being used,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Oh, wait, that's what this is." Like, it wasn't recently, but it was something. It kind of struck a nerve with me. I'm like, content. I'm like, is this? That was what the feeling that it kind of brought up, like in my mind, is I was like, we're just throwing stuff into the void for whoever will have it, type of
Yeah.
stuff.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
there's no purpose or direction or target audience type of thing. Like, I was
I
like,
mean,
wow, that's
I
what it
mean,
is.
this thing of someone like Mr. Beast, right? When was the last time you watched a Mr. Beast video?
I'll be honest, I never watched a Mr. Beast video.
Neither have I. Neither have I. But he's one of the most prolific streamers on YouTube and makes millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars doing God knows what crazy things. And I'm like, I don't think I've ever seen a single one of his videos. And if I have, it's been a clip of a video. You know what I mean? Like I've never sat down and watched a 30-minute Mr. Beast video.
Right.
But I guess somebody does.
Well, like that's the thing that I've realized from having kids that are now aware, like self-aware and can use technology, is that's who's watching it.
I guess.
My 6 year old, you walk in the room and they got YouTube on and they're just like, it's just nothing but brain rot.
Yeah. As they're eating a feastable, right?
Well, that's the other thing. Like, what do you do?
Yeah.
Why are you trying to mess with the kids' lunches and the
Yeah. Yeah.
burgers and what are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Stay
Diversifying your
stay in
portfolio
your
is what
lane.
you're doing.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you can mass market it to the brain rot generation, right? Like, why not?
But that's what it is. It's the void. It's the content void, and that's people market that as the wonderful part about the internet and content creation. They're like, there's something for everybody, but really, like, it's like kind of like, I don't know if you know what the dead internet theory is.
No.
So the dead internet theory, I think Elon put it forward, but it's basically that most interactions are just bots, and there's
Oh, yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
way
Yeah,
fewer people than you think on the internet.
yeah, probably. I mean, that would make sense. That would make sense. It was like, but I sometimes, this is like a self-serving type of thing. And again, this is like a very meta thing. Sometimes I wish somebody would just pull the plug.
Just see what
Just
happens.
pull the plug and just tear it all down. And just so we could go back to like 1995 and just like exist again in that cusp of technology before everything blew out of control.
So more channels on cable TV than just like the original 13, but we have instant messenger or no?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think to me that was the golden
That
age
was
of
the
internet.
peak, instant
That was the
messenger.
peak. That was the peak. Yeah. I think AOL, instant messenger, dial-up internet, it gave you enough access without giving you instant access. Because let's be honest, you remember,
Oh,
like you
do I
had you
ever?
had you had to plan to get on the internet. Everyone, yeah, exactly. The most annoying sound as
Like, yeah,
a
did
digital
somebody just pick up
processor.
the phone?
Exactly, exactly, right? And what's crazy is nobody that comes after us will have ever experienced that.
That's my
Like,
favorite thing to try to explain to my kids. I'm like, do you know that there was none of this before? And they're like,
yeah,
what?
yeah, you couldn't get internet on a phone, you couldn't get internet on a portable device. Like you had one computer, which was obscenely expensive. You had a massive room in your house where that one singular thing existed, and you would make a point to go into that room to do the internet, use the internet for an isolated
And it was
specific purpose.
gigantic and slow.
Correct. I think that was the peak, man. The peak was like Nokia and Snake
Nokia,
and
let's go.
you know what I mean? Like, you know, Word, Microsoft Office, like 1995, when you actually had Microsoft Office and you weren't enslaved to
The
the
complete
clouds.
thing? Yeah, that was a good time.
Yeah, it's like, why do I have to pay for a cloud-based service every year when I used to be able to pay for it once and own it until my computer died?
The good old days.
You will own nothing and you'll be happy.
And yeah, you will love it.
And I don't. I reject modernity. Please send me back
Yeah.
to 1995.
Amen. Jeez.
Just wake up and watch Saturday morning cartoons and eat, Cheerios or whatever, and just go outside and play and come home when it got dark. Like those are the days. Skin knees and sunburns, baby. Take me back.
That is it. But instead, we have influencer marketing, and I wanted to give you credit for a minute on that because I do take notice of these things, and sometimes I say it to myself, I have to bring this up, and then you know life happens. But I'm like, man, the guy was right. The guy was right. But regardless, I digress. We have some watches to talk about. There's a long list. There's been a real good run of stuff that's come out, I think, in the past few months.
Yes.
And I think we'll try to touch on a lot of it here. I know we had spoken about the triple calendar El Primeros when they came out. I think we both liked them. They gave them a little bit of a facelift here. Very pretty. One is in
Gorgeous.
a rose gold, absolutely gorgeous, and then the other is in a stone dial. I think that's lapis. Yeah,
It's lapis. Yeah, it's lapis.
one of my favorite stones, and
It's gorgeous.
It is unreal. The blue and the white work so well together, and I mean, I like these when they put out. Zenith had that run where they put out sort of that entire blue collection somewhat recently, and I liked a lot of those, but I think this is really like the cream of the crop as far as that goes. The moon phase.
In my opinion,
so
this is what should have been the capstone at Watches and Wonders. I know this came out obviously after Watches and Wonders.
I agree with you.
But I think the whole Blue Man Group testing market thing was the 160th anniversary all blue ceramic pieces. And I talked to somebody through the grapevine. They had a connection with one of the reps at Zenith, and I was like, kind of like, hey man, like, can I like pick your brain a little bit about like what you actually think about this? And they're like, oh, we love it. I mean, I'm like, I know you're gonna say that because you're a brand rep.
Yes, I know,
but
what?
but and the person was like, look, there's other stuff coming. I've seen it. I think this is going to be more in line with what you would traditionally view as a collectible. She's like, look, all of the blue ceramic pieces are going to go. They're going to sell. They're already mostly pre-sold anyway. But there's other stuff that's going to be more commercial that people are going to really drive with. And I'm assuming that this is what they were alluding to. And I love it. I think the lapis works here. It's pretty. I love the vintage vibes of the smaller Chronomaster. I think it's probably one of the best Zeniths that they've done in modern history.
Right. These are 38s in case.
Yes, exactly.
I was wondering.
And I mean, you have an incredibly impressive watch to be able to pack that into a 30 millimeter case with month, with dates, with moon phase, with chronograph, tenth of a second there's a lot, and still make it high beat and all the good things. Like, you have to give credit where credit is due. That's an incredibly impressive timepiece to pack into a very small package. And when you mix that and juxtapose that with a beautiful lapis stone dial, sign me up.
Yeah, that's peak, right? That's like
peak.
Listen, it's not quite that sort of master horology design that you get from the independents, but I mean, this is as good as it gets, right?
Yeah, yeah. For a commercial product, yes.
That's absolutely what I'm saying.
Absolutely. Could not agree more.
Yeah. But kudos to you all. You did a great job. One that I definitely want to talk about with you, because I know you'd probably be hyped about this. I know we haven't spoke about it on here yet. Doxa dropped a GMT.
They did.
Right? I mean, kind of a little bit after the GMT hype, but that's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. But so Doxa, they gave us a sub 250T GMT, and I like what they did with the GMT hand. It's kind of got the hollowed out look to it.
It's nice.
It is. It's a neat, I don't want to call it a gimmick. It's not really a gimmick. It's a neat approach, we'll say.
I would agree. And I think it's nice because obviously when you're looking at this type of watch, and you know how I am when it comes to diver GMTs.
Yes.
If you're going to do a diver and you're going to do a GMT, I want an internal 24-hour rehot. I want a traditional dive bezel. And I want my GMT hand to kind of be different enough where I don't feel like it's riffing on something else or borrowing a design. Like, I am so sick of the gigantic orange fat arrow GMT hands. Like, we've done that. It's been done.
We've certainly done
that. It's very Rolex light, and I get it. It's a great design, and there's a reason why it still looks contemporary and modern all these decades and decades and decades later. It's because it was phenomenal. But try to come up with something different. And this I think it's just very Doxa. Like, it's there. It's the fattest, thickest GMT hand I've ever seen on a watch that I can remember. But it's, to me, when I'm looking at the watch, and specifically the picture that you sent me, the sub 250T Gulf Shore edition, the GMT hand becomes secondary to everything else because it's just the hollowed out resemblance, the outline of the GMT. It shares the same kind of profile as the Minahan, but it's not loomed. It's skeletonized. And for me, when I'm looking at it, the first thing that I notice is the hour and the minute. And then I can see the GMT. Because let's be honest, nobody's really tracking the
That
GMT
is nice. Yeah,
as
the
as your
GMT,
primary thing,
the GMT is not the star of the show
No,
nearly ever.
no. And let's be honest, guys that have GMT masters out there right now listening to this podcast, most of them are never even set. I can't tell you how many guys that I've talked to just in passing in different places around the world. And I'm like, oh, so like what time zone is your GMT set to? Like, what do you mean? Like what other time reference is that hand? He's like, oh, it's just there.
Wherever it goes.
I'm like, so you don't track anything else? Like, is it supposed to track something? I'm like, oh my God. Just like cringe alert. Just take me out back and just put me down. But no, I think this is really cool. I like the way they executed it, and they did a really, really good job, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think exactly what you said is right. Making the skeletonized GMTN was a really good move. Doesn't make it too predominant. Doesn't dominate your eye when you're trying to tell the time, perhaps for once, like people do
Yeah.
with watches. And, it doesn't take away from the original design. Like it still looks like a Doxa. I mean, obviously it's a Doxa, but it still looks like a Doxa layout without going too far from sort of the tried and true looks, of a sub.
Mm-hmm.
But you also have the extra functionality, which is nice.
Yeah, could not agree more.
Right. Moving along, I had mentioned it earlier. Christopher Ward has put out the C12 Loco. If you haven't seen it, you've probably mistaken it for the Bel Canto in passing.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of a similar look, very colorful. Also has sort of the miniature clock on the dial look to it, but you do not have a chime this time. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely an evolution in C12's line. I mean, you see kind of what they're going for now. They're going with sort of that a little more avant-garde look to things.
And affordable hierology. I mean, that's really what it looks like.
Right. Like I said, this is a $5,000 watch, which, I mean, I don't know if I ever had 5K Christopher Ward on my bingo card, but here we are.
But, I'll say this. When I look at this watch, I don't think Christopher Ward. That's just putting it out there. I mean, I know $5,000 is a lot for any timepiece. It's a lot of money, for sure. But I look at this watch and I think MB&F. I think, Chapik. I mean, I think so many other independent brands that exist. In my first thought is not Christopher Ward. And I like that. I like that. Again, I'm okay for raising prices when prices give you something worth raising the price for. You know what I mean? Like, if you're going to give me a $5,000 Christopher Ward, don't just make it like, oh, yeah, we carried another Trident diver and it's cool. Like, no, give me something that's unique and different. This is unique and different. And the fact that they're able to take the escapement system and mount it onto the dial, everyone forgets how technically complex this is. Because when you look at your escapement, where do you normally see it? You have to flip the watch over to see it, which means it's on the backside of the movement. To be able to take that and mount it onto the dial side and then have it oscillating over the dial is basically a complete redesign, reworking of the movement from the inside out. It is not an easy feat. It is technologically impressive, and it's aesthetically beautiful because it gives you the semblance of almost like a skeletonized movement without physically having it skeletonized. And I could say comfortably that would be, in my opinion, the next evolution of the C12 Loco. You make a skeletonized version because that would just knock everyone's socks off. But I mean, at that point, are we pushing $7-8 grand?
Yeah, probably.
But I mean, again, worth it if you could do it.
Yeah, I think they're at an interesting crossroad here because I feel like there's going to be two sides to this coin, as we've seen with the way the internet is. You're going to have half the people saying exactly what you just said, and then you're going to have half the people saying this kind of feels like, because what you said that this reminds you MBNF, blah blah blah. I think a lot of people are going to say, is this them being who they're not? Now, I think that's kind of a step in between when you're making a leap. If they're trying to make this leap, that is going to be a step regardless.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's an interesting sort of time period for them in their evolution, kind of seeing what their next steps will be. Because I don't think a chime watch is on anybody's bingo card either. But that's gone off and it's been a huge hit. So definitely interesting things coming out of. If you want to throw the fancy Maison around.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely interesting things coming out of them. And I think everybody's kind of waiting to see what the next steps are going to be.
I mean, it's exciting, nevertheless. I mean, I think it's a very exciting. It's a good step for the brand. And again, as I mentioned before, if you're going to give me something that's more expensive, if you're going to raise the price, then give me a reason to do that. And I think that they've done that here. I know it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea, to your point, but I think at the end of the day, this is a step in the right direction to keep things interesting in the micro space. And I think that there's a very real timeline in our lifetime where Christopher Ward may not be the micro we grew up with it to be.
Yeah, I don't think it's a micro now, to be honest.
I mean, no, I mean, I fully agree with you on that. But I mean, still technically by definition,
yes,
it is a micro brand, right? So, I mean, I think that that's very interesting and cool for them. I'm for it.
Yep.
And I wish Mike Pearson and the team at C Ward like all the best, all the luck, because they deserve it. They've been able to create things that are truly different. And let's be honest, this type of watch didn't exist at this price point ever.
No, certainly not.
Ever. So it's really, truly avant-garde, and it's really, truly special and different for what they're doing. And I like that a lot.
All right, moving along here. Nomos, brand we both like very much, released the Club Sport Neomatique World Timer. Very different configuration, sort of than what we've been used to with World Timers. So we've got 24-hour scale at 3 o'clock. We've got a small seconds. We've got time zones around the outer bezel there. And all of this coming in at 9.9 millimeters thick.
Nuts.
I was blown away by that.
Yeah.
Now, each one of these is 175 piece limited, but there are 6 different color options. And, there's a black, there's like a kind of like an olive, like a burnt orange. I guess we'll call it a turquoise, kind of like a plum, and then like a gold. But all very Nomos, kind of mixed in with a bunch of other different accent colors in a very playful way. All the things we like about Nomos. But for me, they're really neat. I like them a lot. And again, kind of really marvelous that they could squeeze this at 9.9 millimeters.
Yeah, it's nuts. It's nuts. And honestly, man, it's one of the prettiest looking world timers I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, nice radial finishing on the dial.
It just, everything about it, like you said, is Nomos in terms of design language and iconography, but it is a very cool complication that we don't often see in sports watches, represented very well. And I love the fact that they didn't just be like, oh, we're just going to put a 24-hour bezel on it and make it blue and red. Like, they're like, no, let's make a sub dial. Let's do something that nobody's done before. Make it thin, make it colorful, do a push button to change the hours. All these things are so cool to me. And then you package it in a watch that is wearable in both size and profile. And then you make it under $5,000.
Yeah, 4720, not too shabby.
On a bracelet.
Right.
So, I mean, there's a lot to love here. I mean, this is a really, really cool, impressive design. It's a very cool watch. I love the mix of colors. I love the complication. And if I'm not mistaken, too, this one also has water resistance. See, it's pretty high.
Which is crazy.
It's 100 meters,
Yeah.
100 meter water resistance. I mean, like, it's perfect. Pretty cool.
And there are 2 non-limited editions as well. One is blue on blue on blue, and the other one is silver dial with sort of a Pepsi motif to it.
Yeah.
but
Pretty
you know,
pretty cool pieces
they're
for
just
sure.
doing what they do, cranking out good stuff, kind of under the radar, decent price. I like them. They're good people.
Yeah, we love Enomos. Never change.
All right, let me get your take on this one because I'm not exactly sure where I stand on it. So, Studio Underdog, we know that they make the Big Eye Chrono. We've seen about 100 million of them. They all have a food theme. This one is a little bit different because, so we've seen, and it's nothing new, but we've seen a lot of, how do I say this? A lot of, I guess, knockoffs made of popular watches.
Yep.
We'll call it, you could throw up the air quotes for homage, but a lot of them are almost one to one. So they had seen someone ripping their watermelon look. So they found a similar motif of a watch that that person produces, and they homaged in Studio Underdog, Big Eye fashion. They homaged the homagers watch.
Yeah.
So in what they called the Uno reverse, they gave us the avocado and guacamole editions. So you can imagine lots of greens, yellows, a little bit of brown.
Mhm.
I think they're handsome. I think they're good looking watches. Are we I mean, certainly they're not done with it, but are we done with this watch yet? Because like this is about the 150th iteration of it, and it's a cute idea.
I think two things, and they exist in the same space, but albeit differently. So for me, I'm about done with the ST 1901 Big Eye Chrono Studio Underdog.
Right.
Cool. I think from a design perspective, it's starting to feel like Unimatic. Like we got one style, we're just going to change the colors every so often, make limited drops, boom, boom, boom. We're going to sell them, boom, boom, boom. Okay. You have to move on from that. We saw kind of the first change of that when they came out with the military inspired watches
The
last
pink
year.
lemonade. Yeah.
Exactly. Like that was cool. They did the Gimlet collaboration with Fierce. Like
Fierce,
that
yep.
was cool. But give us that. Like let's start upping the ante in models here. I think we're done with the same watch over and over and over again with the same type of Chinese movement over and over and over again with just different colors. That's the first thing. Second thing for me, this was a marketing genius move. Genius move. Like it or hate it, the whole time this happened, everyone was talking about it. Everyone was talking about it. Now, a very small period of time, sure.
Right.
But that's the best viral marketing you will ever get, is that snapshot moment in time. All of their marketing was on point with how they communicated this, how they teased this, how they launched this. And I thought it was hilarious because like there's very few brands that exist in the watch community today that can riff off of the industry itself. And Moser is one of those,
Right.
in my opinion. I think Nomos does a good job of this as well, but they do it in different kind of more playful fashions without
like
directly
cheeky.
targeting people. Like Moser doesn't give a crap. Like they will be like this is not Swiss made. Like this sucks. Right. And they will go out on a limb to do that. Studio, I think, is also in that same vein because they were the first one to even decide a watch after food, which everyone thought was ridiculous. And then it became a hit. So they just kept rolling with it. But to me, this was very interesting because they're like, hey, look, we've been copied. We know our design is great. We know people want it, but let's copy the copiers. I think that was kind of funny and it was very cheeky. And the fact that they made a collection of this was cool.
Yeah.
And the marketing behind it was brilliant. Like the way that I don't know if you saw the video, like they took the actual watches and they put it like in a transfigurator machine and they made it like come out and it created the studio. Like that was cool. Like I remember that it was months ago. So to me, I think that was very cool marketing. But I think we're at that point now where if Studio wants to continue to be successful as an organization, as a company, they're going to have to give us something new. Like either more versions of the time and date model, the kind of more military, aviator style watch, or different riffs on the chrono if you're going to keep the chrono in there, or move into something like a dive category or a traditional dress watch category. Like give us something else that we can say that's Studio, but you have to do it in Studio fashion.
Yeah, that's the tough part.
That's the tough part because at this point they're kind of beholden to a singular design that they've made very popular and people love it. But again, how many people are going to go out there and be like, Okay, I need the next food inspired Big Eye Chrono. You get one, it's cool in your collection, and then you kind of move on. It's to me, it's the Jaeger Panerai IWC phenomenon.
Okay, yeah.
Like you go to Jaeger, you buy a Reverso or you
Reverso,
buy a
yeah,
Master
sure.
Control, right? Do you buy the entire collection of Reversos? No, you're going to buy one. You go to Panerai, you buy Radiomir or Luminor. Typically, it's going to be a Luminor, submersible or something like that. You buy it and you're like, okay, I've scratched my itch for Panerai.
Right, yeah.
You buy an IWC, you buy a Pilot, you buy a big Pilot, whatever. That's it. Like you don't go back and buy a Portofino unless you're really diehard IWC, but most people are not. They're going to buy the kind of hero piece from that watch. And let's be honest, Studio has one hero piece at this point, and it's the Big Eye Chrono, inspired by food. So I think if they're really going to want to expand and still become relevant, they need to move into different design or a different designed piece that still incorporates their iconography, their design language, and their brand ethos. And they got to give people something to be more excited about consistently. I think we're done with the Chrono. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, and I think all those things can exist together. I think.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying.
It's just, it's a good piece that it's great for everybody to own one, and that we also would like something new.
Correct. It's like I said, it's like, I don't want them to become Unimatic. Like that's my biggest criticism of that watch. I gave that watch away because I was like, this guy that I know liked the watch. I was like, he doesn't have a watch. I'll give it to him. He can enjoy it. He's going to get more love out of it than I will. And at the end of the day, he wears it a lot more than I ever would. Okay. I don't even miss it. I'm like, they don't come out with anything different. So if I really wanted to scratch the itch,
hop back on.
Let's go buy another one. It's exactly the same watch it was, 8 years ago when it came out.
That's funny. All right, moving on to the quagmire that is Breitling. Breitling has new top times, but the interesting part is some of them are chronographs and some of them are not.
Yeah, we saw this playbook before.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, when I think top time, I think chronograph. The vintage ones everybody loves. They're really handsome watches. They're classics. They're awesome. And then I get these sort of time and date with the Cyclops reboots that I'm like, it just leaves me scratching my head a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I know all the watch influencer space was like, oh, these are amazing. They're so refreshing. It's so awesomely Breitling. And I'm like,
these are the most generic watches I've ever seen.
Yeah. But what got people really jazzed about them was the fact that it was a Breitling with a new in-house movement, which I will say, hey, that was interesting. That's cool. They came out with a new movie design, especially for a three-hander. Awesome, cool. What cool technology did they pack into the movement? Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing that is relevant for a modern luxury watch movement in 2025. No silicone that I could come across, no anti-magnetic protection, no, over the top styling. It's a good looking watch. I will say that 100%. It's a good looking, attractive timepiece, but I'm just so confused by it because it feels like Breitling, but it also feels like something I could buy from San Martin.
Yeah, agreed.
You know what I mean? Like it's like the movement looks cool. Like they made it a free sprung balance system and the movement. Awesome. Cool. But like, what else did we get? Nothing. We got a fat Geneva striped movement with a different rotor and a free sprung balance system. Great. Cool. That was relevant 20 years ago. So for me, it's a step in the right direction for Breitling, but not anything that's going to move the needle for me, especially at $6,000.
Yeah. Now they did put out some other chronograph models, which don't look half bad, but it's weird to me that we got these sort of non-chronograph top times, given the name.
Again, and to me, it just, I hate beating a dead horse, but I mean, like this horse is a rotting carcass. Like there's not even flesh left. In my opinion, you come out with cool watches, and then you're like, all right, like these are like cycling watches. I'm like, okay, cool. I don't know anybody that's like into cycling like that. It's going to spend $8,000 on a chronograph. Albeit the colors are cool, especially like this like teal one that they did. Like it's cool. I like the lightning bolt secondhand. It's cool. But I'm like, guys, like it's a limited edition, 750 pieces. Cool. It's a top time. The lugs on the top time, in my opinion, have always been way too long. The lug to lug is like insane. And then the fact that it's like, where are you going? Like you riff on your vintage styling, which is fine, but there's no modern technical innovation. This is why Breitling is suffering, because they come out with these capsule collection pieces and they price them extremely high. And I know Breitling's a luxury company. It's going to, command luxury prices. I get that. But I mean, just off the bat, bro, I mean, it's $7,700 for a chrono on a strap. What chronograph are you actually going to buy? If you had $8,000 burning a hole in your pocket, what are you going to purchase?
I mean, the world is your oyster at that point.
Is it a Breitling top time?
No, it's not.
No, it's probably a White Speedmaster or a Zenith, El Primero. Like, it's not a Breitling, especially in teal. Like, I like that colorway because I don't own anything remotely close to it. But if you're your first time luxury watch buy, is that your first choice?
No, certainly not.
Hell no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And to price it, I mean, like, again, going back to the time and date version with the Cyclops, at $5,900, I'd rather buy a Railmaster. And that's not even me being biased towards Omega. I am. But just dollars and cents, what I'm getting in that watch far exceeds what I would purchase in this one. In-house movement, technological design, anti-magnetism, shock protection, better styling, more consistent styling in the sense that, this top time is great looking watch, but am I going to love this design 20 years from now? I can't say that I will.
Yeah.
I could say that I would with the Railmaster, especially if I go with the gray black one.
Yep. Breitling.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
You know what? Let's just, for the sake of it, let's just shove a freaking tourbillon on some of them too, and we'll call it a day. I'm like, what are we doing? $50,000 for a Burlwood dialed Chevy Corvette tourbillon. I'm like, come on, what are we doing here, dude? I'm like, I have to be taking crazy pills. I must be taking crazy pills.
All right, on to a vintage inspired chronograph that I do actually quite like. Nevada has released a Chronosport. They make one that's a Valjoux, that's a very almost one-to-one of a very vintage model, but they also have a more updated model for us commoners, coming in at a whopping $500.
Mm-hmm.
A 38 millimeter free register chronograph, super vintage, got the Singer style subdials.
Yep.
200 meter water resistance, which is nice. It's cool. Nice in a great little package. I mean, it's a Mecha Quartz, don't get me wrong, and priced appropriately. So you're also going to get a nice thin watch with that 10.8 thick. But I like the look of this thing so much. Like the black dial with the sort of champagne or gold colored subdials and a little bit of red text, man. This does it for me. I really like it. I will ask you one thing though. If you look on, and this has to happen, there's no way of avoiding this. Well, actually, I guess there supposedly is, but the batons at 2 and 4 are long and none of the other ones are. And I guess that's because you'd want them all to be long, but they can't be because the subdials get in the way.
Yeah.
Would you have gone small batons there?
Yeah.
I think I would too.
Yeah, I would have.
It's the only thing that's gripping me.
Let me go back, because there was so there's a picture. Yeah,
there's more batons that are large. It doesn't look so weird.
Correct.
Re-register looks a little weird.
No, it totally does, and that's obviously that's probably a conversation that took many meetings at Nevada for them to hash out.
I would think so.
I would give them the benefit of the doubt on that. I
still don't have a right answer staring at it, but I know it just kind of looks a little.
I agree with you. In this case, if they can't all be long, I would have made them all short.
Yeah, I think
that's just me. I think that makes more sense stylistically, but yeah, I mean, it's a handsome watch. I think it's very cool, especially Mecha Quartz, 3 subs, Singer dial. Like it's a cool looking watch, and at $500, like
Why not, right?
It's a drunk eBay purchase for me. You know what I mean? Like it's a late night purchase, and you're like, you know what? Screw it. I'll beg for forgiveness later from my wife. Yeah, it's a cool watch. I do like the fact that they also have versions with the Valjoux movement inside
Yeah,
that you
that
can
is
go, up. Obviously, you can go up in price, but even still, for the chronograph with the Valjoux movements from a very cool watch brand, at just over $2,100 or $2,300 on bracelet, why not? I can't even buy an Oris these days for that price.
Yeah,
So.
right. Jeez. But not insanely newsworthy, but Tissot has put out a PRX in rose gold, which is quite handsome. The rose with the blue dials giving me very Vacheron vibe, which I like because I'm never going to afford one of those. So I'm a fan. I'll say I'm a fan.
Yeah, it's a good looking watch, especially at $875. I mean, that's a hell of a price point for a timepiece for sure.
Yeah.
I tell you I finally get to see a Carbon in person?
No, that's awesome.
It's sick. It's super sick. It's super lightweight. It looks amazing. It
That's
looks
very
the
cool.
business. Yeah, I was popping around the Midwest and stopped at Teddy's store and I saw it for the first time in person. If you ever had the chance or ever thought about visiting Teddy's store, not that we're sponsored in any way by them, just as a subtle plug, like
Not that I'm ever in Ohio.
not that you're ever in Cleveland, Ohio, but if you ever were and you didn't want to stop in by Teddy's store, like his staff is extremely professional, very, very knowledgeable people. They are true watch nerds in every sense, which is amazing. But they gave me the time of day to show me that
That's
watch.
very nice.
It was,
Nice
yeah,
to
it was
hear.
super cool. They were very nice and very hospitable. So shout out to Teddy and his team. He's not just a nice guy on the YouTube videos, like he's actually a nice guy in person. So it was very, very nice to actually meet him and his team. So that was cool.
Nice. All right, I got one that I know you're going to be stoked about because we talked about this watch coming back many, many a times. And granted, this is sort of an iteration of it, but the old Seiko 7002 diver, kind of near and dear
Yeah.
to pretty much everybody, I think, has sort of made a comeback in the Seiko 5 Sports line. This is that 42.5 millimeter case, but it has a very familiar dial. This is the SRPL 83, 85, 87, and 89. Blue, black, yellow, and orange for the diehards. Fun, neat. I think people asked for this.
They did. I think my only hang up was I just wish it was a true diver.
Yes,
just
granted,
give me the
give me this
200 meters.
package, if you're gonna give me this package, give me the screw down, give me the 200 meter, just for this one. You could do
Yeah.
that. Come on, just for this one.
Yeah.
Even if you just did the orange and yellow, I would accept that.
Correct.
For old time's sake.
Yeah, I mean I love this. I still have my first ever Seiko diver, and it is a 7002J. I love that watch. I will never get rid of that watch. That is the watch that was my first ever automatic watch. I talked about it on the podcast many, 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 many years ago when we first started this thing. I love these designs because for me they're super nostalgic. They are something that makes me feel like I did when I first got that watch. And coincidentally, I think I've touched on it. The one that I actually purchased completely without knowing it ended up being a birth year based on serial production.
Yeah, that is neat.
So I was like, it was like the perfect thing. It was like my first ever automatic watch, first ever diver's watch, true diver's watch. And the fact that it ended up being a birth year is like, that's a watch I will never get rid of in my collection until the day I die. It is a phenomenal piece. I need to service it, but it is a watch I will keep forever. And yeah, I mean, this makes me think of that watch, and it's good. It's good thoughts. It's good vibes. I love the fact that they went more with the retro styling on the rubber strap. They went with the flat vent.
Yeah, that is nice.
Seiko straps. Like, there's just good nods here that make me feel cool about those 90s divers, before the SKX. Like, everyone fell in love with the SKX. I fell in love with this one. I loved the square markers. I loved the hands, the way that they did them back then. Mine was only a date. Obviously, these have later iteration movements, so they had the day date and everything like that, which was what like the SKX had. But the yellow, the orange, the all black, like that's, I don't know, just it's very nostalgic for me. I love the bracelet design on these. I love that they didn't do like a faux Jubilee style bracelet like they did on the SKXs.
Yeah.
This just looks very business, very tool oriented. I just wish it was a diver, and I wish it was 200-meter water resistance with screw down crown. The only other gripe that I have is, God, I hate these second hands. That's been a gripe of mine forever. I just wish the loom tip was at the end of the second hand instead of at the
Counter,
back.
yeah.
But that's an easy thing to mod. I mean, let's be
Yeah,
honest.
for sure. Yep.
You can buy one of these and swap to second hand. It's not a big deal. But I just wish it came like that factory. And that would have been also a really cool thing to kind of really tie in because the original 7002J or 7002s in general had a lollipop second hand. They didn't have it like this. So that would have been something that would have been really the icing on the cake for me.
Yeah, that would have been nice. All right. Longines has introduced the Spirit Zulu Time 1925. So this is one of the Zulu Time GMTs. It's got a gold bezel. This is a really, really handsome watch. I really like that they made the GMT hand mostly black, so it kind of melts into the dial, and then you just get the very tip at the end is white to read your second time zone and all that. But really, I really love the color combination. You know, the accents with the gold accents on the dial and the black dial with the gold bezel. I think it's a really nice riff on an already nice watch.
Yeah. Yeah. And from what I saw too, there's also kind of more of a commemorative styled case back on this one. I think it's got like a plane or something, if I remember correctly. It's been a minute since I looked at it, but I did see this watch in person. Coincidentally, I was traveling to see a buddy of mine that owns a jewelry store, and the Longines rep was actually in the store when I walked in. So I got to get to see this watch firsthand, and it's beautiful. It's a very,
cool.
very cool watch in person. Longines has done a lot to really make this, to me, a very viable GMT to purchase, given the price point, given the prestige, and again, given the design language. Like, I don't know of another GMT out there that looks like this, that's not trying to be a Pepsi or not trying to be something else that it's not. And I think it's a great looking timepiece. And Longines has been, continually killing it for me. So I like it.
Yeah, I guess while I'm there, they also put out a white Legend Diver, which is quite nice.
Yeah, it wasn't in my bingo card to have like a white on white.
No, but it's very clean. Like it's super clean. Very monochromatic, but it's very, very clean. Especially they have it featured on the Beats Rice bracelet, and
yeah,
it's nice. I like it a lot.
I'll tell you this though. I'll tell you this. Who's the first one that really made that more popular in recent memory to me? It was Doxa when they came up with the white on white.
Oh yeah, with the white pearl.
Yeah, the white pearl, the white carbon back, shortly thereafter. Like that to me was kind of sick. You know what I mean? Yeah. I was like, I wasn't a white on white type of guy, but I can see the appeal, especially in the new Legend Diver, because they did mix it with the kind of more blacked out hands and markers and stuff like that. I think it looks good.
Yeah, everything on it is very well pronounced. I think that's what makes it really pop.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and then sort of last but not least, honorable mention here, the Heuer Monaco has the Golf branding back.
Yeah.
Which I think everybody likes, right? Everybody's into the Golf.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. It comes back every once in a while, and you're like, that's neat, man. I dig that.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool. I think it's kind of a iconic thing to the Monaco. One of the things that I did not ever think about, but somebody, a very, very prominent collector on Instagram, posted about this, and I was like, oh my God, I've never thought about that. Like, if you think about the original like movie and race that made the Monaco like legendary, was the movie Le Mans with Steve McQueen. It's about the Le Mans race, right? 24 hours.
24 hours, yeah.
Yeah, 24 hours at Le Mans. This only has a 30-minute registered chrono. And the guy was like, the original Monaco's had a 12-hour chrono because it was a day race.
That would make sense, right?
I was like, I've never thought about that, but man, that just kind of takes it down a peg for me. I'm not going to lie.
Point. Well, you know what? They should make a dedicated Le Mans edition.
And that's what he was saying. He's like, if you're going to do a golf or you're going to do like that would have been the perfect one to do a 12-hour counter for the chrono. Like, this is just 30 minutes. And let's be honest, like, when was the last time you used your chronograph for just 30 minutes? I can't even time a parking meter with that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Pasta water timer.
I mean, I'm just like, I would max that out instantly. There's not even an hour recorder on it.
Time your bowel movements.
I mean, I guess
some people wouldn't even make it.
That's what I'm saying, dude. That's what I'm saying. Is like the last time I typed anything to 30 minutes was like never. I can't even do a laundry cycle to 30 minutes these days. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I was like, I never noticed it.
This should have been the Domino's Pizza collab because Domino's used to have 30 minutes or it's free. Bang,
That would've-
30
that
minute
would've been sick.
chronograph.
That
There
would
we
be
go.
sick.
All right, that's
What, somebody actually does that?
Tag. You're welcome, bro. You were
Tag, you're
welcome.
welcome.
Once again, I have nothing but good ideas for Tag Heuer, and all I do is crank them out. Your Domino's Pizza Timer. That's your next.
Well, I
collab
mean,
art.
you remember when you and I talked about the ultimate, rebranding for Tag? They haven't done it yet.
Oh yeah.
I mean, come on. It's like nobody wants Tag on their dial. Let's just make it Heuer for all the higher end pieces. Everyone would get bananas over that. And let's just keep the tags to the Formula Ones and the mall stuff that we're going to sell. Like everyone would be happy, I think. So, yeah, we're waiting for you to make that move. We're waiting for that move.
Yeah. All right, man. Anything else you want to talk about, man? I think we've run a little long here, but we're still.
Well, I mean, we covered a lot, and again, I will formally apologize to everyone for my absence and why it's taken so long to release some of these episodes. But thank you guys for hanging with us, and thank you to the guys that filled in for the last episode. You recorded solo with them, so shout out to them and appreciate it. But thanks for listening to another episode, and I promise it will not be this long before we record another one.
You could time it with your 30-minute Monaco. Nah.
Or maybe you couldn't. I don't know. We'll have to find out for sure.
All right. Till then. Peace.